Eric Mwatha with Mwatha.com, September 23rd, 2016, which so happens to be the first day of fall. We are looking at the markets here after the NASDAQ closed at record intraday highs and record all-time closing highs for the NASDAQ yesterday. We are seeing a little bit of a pullback as of today's morning. Now, following up on my series on YouTube called Occult Stock Market Codes, let's take a look at some numbers in the current market for some type of enlightenment, or maybe even let's just call it entertainment. And I do encourage you to check out this playlist on my channel, and it might help you understand this video. Again, Occult Stock Market Matrix Codes Exposed. Let's take a look at the current market charts. And I'm going to go through this quickly. Let's begin with the S&P 500, which recorded an all-time current daily closing high here. And this happened to be on the 11th trading session for the month of August. And then what's interesting here is that on the 12th day, or the 12th trading session for the month of August, the S&P 500 was down exactly 12 points. So exactly 12 points at the close. I guess 12 points at the close after recording its current all-time daily closing high. So let's keep those numbers in mind. Keep in mind 12 can be split as 6 plus 6, or you can actually just say it's a version of 6, 6. So somebody brought my attention to this day here, which happens to be the biggest drop since the S&P 500 recorded its all-time daily closing high right here. So let's take a look at some of the numbers associated with this biggest drop on a daily basis since the daily closing high for the S&P 500. Now keep in mind that in numerology, you can always interchange your 6s and your 9s, because a 6 pretty much is a 9 flipped around. So pretty much you can interchange a 9 and a 6, because as you can see visually, all these numbers are the same, just they're flipped around. But what's interesting about this drop here is the day it happened. It so happened to be September 9th, 2016. If you take the numbers, of course, September is the 9th month, 9th calendar day, and you add 2 plus 1 plus 6, you get 999. Flip those numbers around, you get your 666. Now keep in mind, this drop on September 9th happens to be also the 6th trading session for the month of September 2016. So it made me curious, what was the biggest drop prior to that? And it happens to be this drop here, what is now commonly referred to as the Brexit drop. So let's take a look at this drop here, the prior biggest daily drop in the month of June. And it so happened to be on June 20. So it happened to be on June. Of course, June is the 6th month. All right. So we got your 6 there. It happened to be on the 24th day on the calendar. Say there is your 2 plus 4, which equals 6. And believe it or not, it also happened to be the 18th trading session for the month of June 2016. And of course, we know that 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18, which is just another variation of 666. So on the biggest drop, the Brexit drop, all these days were aligned. So we can clearly see there's more than meets the eye that was taking place on that day. These are what I call occult days, generated, manufactured for some type of reason. Now, if you pause the video, you'll see here that if you take the daily closing numbers for the Dow, you add them all together, you end up with a 6. You take the point drop on the Dow. Add all those numbers together, you end up with a 12. Remember, 12 is 6 plus 6. You take the percentage drop for the Dow on that day, they end up to a 6. Now let's fast forward, take a look at the current market. Yesterday, the NASDAQ closed at an all-time intraday, an all-time daily closing high. Now that was September 22nd, 2016. It so happened to be the 15th trading session of the month, and of course 1 plus 5 equals 6. Now what is interesting also is if you take the numbers on a closing basis for the NASDAQ, add them all up, you end up with a 9, which is a 6. You take the percentage point gain yesterday for the NASDAQ, add all those up together, you get a 6. You take the percentage gain, which was 0.84. Of course, you add the 8 plus the 4, you get a 12. Of course, we know 12 is 2 6s. So we have an interesting close here. One wonders whether this is, for now, an important daily closing high. Maybe we drop from here. We shall see. And of course, this kind of occult codes, unless you know what the deciphering method is, they're hard to predict. And if you take a look at the current market, again, as I said today, September 23rd, 2016 is the first trading day for the fall session. And so one wonders whether there is something in the beginning of the fall month or the fall months of this year. And so what's the takeaway? I've always thought the takeaway is we all get the sense that the market is manipulated. No surprise at all. It's very tough to prove that the market is manipulated. I think the biggest takeaway, I would say, is just be sure not to be very arrogant. The market is going to move in the direction it wants to move, irrespective of the theories we have as traders, irrespective of the expectations. So it's important to understand that you cannot be too arrogant. You cannot overbet on any one idea. Just make sure that you know how to protect your capital. Eric Mwatha with Mwatha.com. As always, good luck, peace, and blessings. E-A-C-S.